up last time. I don't know what the deal was. All right, so going live, connecting to the YouTube lands and folks who are going to be
I don't,
checking this
I
out
don't,
on LinkedIn.
I don't, I don't see it yet. But when I see it, I'm ready.
Oh, it's going.
NATO is code, right?
Yeah, it should be going live. So we'll double check the stream. Looks like it's live, so it's live. So now that we're here, so I want to introduce one of the Pid Hacker legends who has taken the Pid Hacker experience so far to... So for those who are unfamiliar with the Pid Hacker experience, it's sort of like 2 years ago in 2020, there was a time that we launched this program to teach people how to basically up their game if they're working in the cybersecurity industry. And, you know, we still have the Pid Hacker Experience prereqs. You can get it now. It's designed to get you a job for free. But then for people who are ready to get serious, we have the Pid Hacker Experience, which we ran into someone who took the most hardcore mode of Pid Hacker Experience and not only started creating his own inventions, but then took his own inventions to market to go ahead and start his own company. And that is Zachary. He is here. He is now the founder of Cyber Defense Services. He has basically now been teaching people cybersecurity. He literally built his home that he lives in, and I'm sure he'll tell you all about it. So,
Yep.
anyways, that's Zach. So, Zach, go ahead and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you've been up to, and we'll talk a little bit about the Pid Hacker. But who are you?
Well, that's my intro right there. Uh, well, I'm just a real badass dude who decided to push himself to his limits, and that requires a lot of discipline. And if you want to get into this field, you have to have an extreme amount of discipline because it's not for crybabies. It's a field that is for do-it-yourself, very motivated individuals who can figure out stuff on their own. And what I mean by that is that cybersecurity is a self-taught field, which is why in my previous interviews on CyberLife TV and other things that you see me on, I talk about how people need to take matters into their own hands and be responsible for themselves and be self-reliant and self-sufficient, because that's what this field is literally about. A lot of people cry about, entry-level cybersecurity positions. Cybersecurity is not an entry-level field. It's a field of do-it-yourselfers, of people
Exactly
who
right.
have pursued different areas in computer security and taken the time to sit on their computers for hours upon hours upon hours upon hours by themselves alone, figuring out how to do things alone. And that's how you get skills.
And it's
you don't get
tough.
skills. It is. It's tough. It takes a lot of work. It takes years.
Why do you think most people... So most people, because I, built the Pid Hacker Experience, you were an intern for us, helped test the program, vet it out, while other people were signing up for it and all this stuff. You were taking it, and while other people were still dropping off, you just kept going. And then you just kept going, and then after you went through it the first time, you went into hope for the hardcore mode, which Pid Hacker has different difficulty levels. You can either take casual mode, just learn how to get going, learn the basics, learn the ropes, get going. But Zach took the most hardcore challenges that the Pid Hacker Experience presented, which drives you to invent your own things. And if you're not inventing your own things, you're not quite doing hope for the hardcore mode. And so he took it so far as going to starting his own company, working with like solar technologies, working with like 5G defense, all that good stuff, all kinds of stuff. Really.
I can't even believe that I do all this myself. I just you saying that right now, I don't even remind myself of how much I'm capable of and how much I've done, because I don't even think about that. I just keep going.
When you started this, did you think that you would end up doing all this?
Yes, I knew that I was going to end up doing everything I ever wanted to do in my life, because I'm hungry, I'm eager. And that's the difference between people that make it and don't make it in this field, is how hungry they are. A lot of people, they want success, but they're not willing to get burned, right? A lot of individuals if I put them in a room, and I say, in that other room over there is everything you wanted in your life. And by the way, there's a wall of fire in there that you have to run through, and it may hurt a little bit. 99% of people can be like, no, screw that, I'm done, I quit. That's a problem. That's the issue, is that they don't want to feel the pain, they don't want to suffer, they don't want to sacrifice anything, but they want their cake and they want to eat it too. And that's most people.
Especially
sadly.
advanced careers. Advanced careers are tough because it's oftentimes it's mentally taxing. It's things that are really dry. I think one thing that people don't talk about in cybersecurity, because like this is, I don't know, when I talk about stuff, I'm like, compliance. It's not like I made this NIST video and it wasn't talking about all these flashy things about how it's going to be the best type of sliced bread you've ever heard of, and if you put this kind of jam on it, it's even better too. It's not that kind of video. I'm like talking about NIST.
That's okay.
It's dry.
Well, that's okay because you see, the thing is that when I talk about discipline, what discipline means is doing what you hate, but doing it like you love it, like okay. And when you could do that, you got it. You got it going on. You're
eventually it's not so bad.
Yeah, it's not so bad. Actually, compliance is fun to me. It's like at first it was like tedious, but now it's kind of like, imagine you're for those people who like to do this stuff. Imagine you're in a supermarket and you're getting like all the cans and making them perfect and lining up all the labels and checking the prices and making sure everything's in the right place. That's what compliance is like, quite literally. A person who's obsessed with organizing things and making sure stuff is perfect, that's the kind of person it's for. And some people get off on that. I do. I love organizing stuff. I like stuff clean, organized, where it needs to be.
Well, for code to work, it has to have some form of perfection, or it won't work. You just get errors.
Yes.
And it's interesting because, like, I mean, really, if you're trying to figure out something like how did someone hack into this ecosystem, it's not about finding like how did they maybe get in. No, you have to be precise and go and try to figure out like, okay, how exactly did this person get in? What was the vector? Like, did they start off with recon? What did they find with recon? How do we find this information? You have to go collect some evidence. But it's a journey and a process, and oftentimes finding some bits of information can feel impossible to folks. And you even will take higher risks where you'll go take a contract that if you don't deliver isn't going to pay, but if you deliver it'll pay. How do you feel about those high risk contracts? Do they make you sweat a little bit, or do you feel like you're going to end up doing the wrong contract and end up broke?
No, they don't make me sweat at all. I love a challenge. I'm the kind of person, I like taking risks. I like feeling that I'm in danger. I like having a fire underneath my ass because it keeps me going. I love that feeling. And when you learn to love that feeling is when you'll start to excel in life. And there's a lot of people who can't get used to that. They need that security, that grounding. Well, the only thing that comes from you needing that security is you being locked like a hamster in a cage in a little cubicle that you can basically call your prison for the rest of your life, and you'll be there until you die. And have fun living a boring, tedious, normal, average, everyday life. But I don't want to be average. I mean, maybe other people want to be average, but I don't want to be average. And another thing that people don't realize is that this is a competition, and you need to compare yourself to other people and how they're and how you're doing compared to them in order to excel in this field as well, because it's very competitive. And if you're not competitive, this field isn't for you. Like, you got to go.
It is a competition.
If you're coming into this field, you better come with both swords out and ready to slice necks, because it is competitive. And that's why the people that I'm training in my company right now, I have the internship program going on where I'm training, cyber ops teams, and I'm hard on these people.
Well, when you're a founder, because you got to make sure that so for folks who don't run businesses, there's a little bit of a difference, like when you go get a job versus like when you start the jobs.
Yeah.
When you get a job, somebody giving you that nice paycheck, you go in there and they're like, here, you can have this paycheck, and as long as you show up, you can keep getting that paycheck. But when you're the one who's like especially in the early days. Now, when we were starting Pid Hacker Experience, we were in a much different time ourselves. We had to go through a lot of those like early building days and stuff like that. But it's not pleasant, because like as soon as you go out into the market, other people are trying to get into that market. Other people are trying to get customers too. Everybody's talented. Everybody's like, just being good.
That's right.
Is just
Yes.
the
Just
minimum.
being good isn't good enough. Just being good isn't good enough. You got to be the best. You got
It's
to be
true.
a badass.
It's
That's what
complicated.
you got to be. If you're not going to strive for the top, don't waste your time with cybersecurity.
Or at
Because
least
you
start,
will not
especially
make it.
starting a company.
Yeah. I mean, man, people, you know, with this company that I'm running, we're bringing in a lot of. I mean, I got people doing contracts, subcontracts. I'm doing some contracts myself. It is hard. I'm working 24/7 on my goals and everything else I got going on, imagining my own life. It gets to the point where brushing my teeth is like another chore that I have to add to the list because I literally do not have any time. There is a very small portion of people in society who are willing to work that much, and we have to give our CEOs and founders credit.
Because you're the one who has to come up with them paychecks. Because you
Yes.
don't make that bread, everybody else ain't getting that cash.
Yes, exactly, and that's why I'm hard on my team because they need to have the skills necessary to service my clients, and if they can't protect and service my clients and individuals that we take on, then they fail me and they fail the company, and then we don't get money.
And
And
cybersecurity,
then
you work with
lose.
criminals, right?
Yeah, basically.
It's a
Yeah.
obviously, you know, it's like a
Yeah.
friendly kind of casual fun environment, right?
Yeah.
Dealing with
Yeah,
criminals online.
We're all criminals in security. We're just people with criminal mindsets who decided to stop to use our mindset to stop criminals from committing crimes. Is really what people in cybersecurity are. It's the, how should I say? It's like the kind of person who walks into a bank and starts looking around and being like, wow, you know, this camera really isn't pointed in the right direction, and that security guard is like not even paying attention. Like, it'd be really easy to rob this place. And then, you know, you go and you tell the manager that, and you get him to hire you and be like, hey, listen, you know how easy it is to rob this place? I think you should hire me to do some, you know, compliance and stuff here to make stuff a little bit better because nobody's doing their job and everything is backwards.
Someone's got to test the infrastructure.
Yeah, and
Hopefully.
you're at risk. And this is how we get clients.
Like people who do like zero security. There's so many companies these days. They'll just go and spin up some stuff in AWS. Oh, public cloud's the worst. People who are like, oh, I'm just gonna start a company and I'm gonna do some stuff in AWS. And
I've seen it too many times.
oh yeah, and they're like, we're gonna.
Too many times.
Well, that security stuff slows the project down, right? So can we just like, you know, lower that
Just
and then
pretend we have security?
go faster?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, there was. I've lost count at how many companies I've been involved in, where, you know, I'm a hardcore guy. If I come into a company, you hire me, I'm gonna secure. I'm gonna 101 down to the books. You know, let you know everything that's at risk. And most of these companies, they don't want to hear it. They just have you there for show or to look pretty, and you tell the CISO, and he's like, yeah, I know. And I'm like, what do you mean, you know? Like, none of these bring your own devices are secured or even in compliance. We don't even have nobody even has antivirus in their computer. What the hell is going on here? So, I know, don't worry about it. What the hell am I here for then?
They like send
I got
laptops to
tired of
people's
that.
home enenvironments.
Yeah, that are completely unsecured and not tracked, and it's a nightmare. Most companies that brag about having security, they have no security. It's laughable. It's absolutely laughable, and we don't play that game.
Yeah, they don't even know if their code's secure.
No, they don't. They just assume that it is.
They'll just use Kaseya and one. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
The Kaseya, it had a breach. It's not like they're bad people, but
Yeah.
it's doing things.
Well, you know, part of the reason this happens is the hiring nightmare that exists in cybersecurity. We were talking about before we started streaming. One of the biggest problems is that HR in these companies, or these companies that are looking for individuals to fill these roles in cybersecurity, one, they don't know what they're looking for. They don't know what to look for, and traditionally, they're conditioned to look for like cookie cutter, you know, corporate people that fit into the mold. And it just so happens that people in cybersecurity who are good at computer hacking and destroying stuff and messing stuff up and going to secure your infrastructure are not cookie cutter people. They're actually quite unusual people. They're usually very individualistic. They're very expressive, and they usually don't give two shits about what people think about them because they're out of the box thinkers. And those are the kind of people that you need to hire. And those are the kind of people that I hire in my companies. Oddballs and individuals who I know are out of the realm of normality. They're not normies, as to say, and
True.
they're good because they think out of the box and they get stuff done. And then another issue is that there's this field of cybersecurity is oversaturated right now with people trying to get into it. Very oversaturated. It's oversaturated with people who don't understand the field, don't belong in the field, and they don't have what it takes to get into the field. And there's been this misnomer perpetuated by a lot of certification companies and whatnot of an entry-level cyber position, which is complete BS because cybersecurity, like I said before, is not an entry-level field. Before I did cybersecurity, I have years and years of technology experience behind me, and I have a certain mindset. Like I said already, I'm competitive, I'm determined, I'm disciplined, I think out of the box. I'm not a normal person. We're all a little bit crazy, a little bit wacky. This is the kind of person that excels in this field. And if that isn't you, I mean, I see a lot of people, even people applying to my internship program, like I told you before, and they come in the door and they're like, I'm ready for cybersecurity. And I'm like, yeah, sorry. You're not hardcore enough. There's just some people I can tell that they're not going to make it. They're going to get bulldozed over. They can't handle the competition. They can't handle the stress.
It's pressure. It's pressure. And to kind of go with what you're saying too, it's when you have these companies, who's hiring oftentimes and who's talking to folks, they themselves also might not understand what's going on in whatever the industry is. Like maybe they do specialize in HR. Maybe they're very good at what they do, but cybersecurity is also this strange new industry. And like the skill sets, and they're like, oh, oftentimes the people who are good at interviewing are not particularly technical. Usually like that by itself is a skill, and usually the most technical people may or may never pick up that skill to be good at interviewing. Oftentimes I find like some of the most technical people are the worst at interviewing, and then they get imposter syndrome because maybe they're the best hires.
It's horrible.
But horrible. They don't get hired because
it's horrible.
They can't interview.
No, they don't. Because they're not sociable, man. That's another.
It's true.
I'm going to tell you the truth. A lot of people in cybersecurity, they're a lot, and a lot of people in technology, a lot of them are very closeted introverts. They don't have social skills. There's going to be some people that bash me in this, but I don't care. Bash me all day, I can take it. And it's definitely true. And if you have a outgoing and assertive, extroverted personality, like in any field, it's going to benefit you. And I know you talked about this before. You said that initially in this field, it took you a little bit of a push of personal development for you to get out of there, out of like your shell and be comfortable with, putting your face out there and talking to people and being seen. But you did it, and you're here, and you're everywhere, and everybody knows who you are. And that's what people need to do is for those of you who are not like extremely sociable naturally or assertive, you need to break out of your shell and put your face out there, because it's a lot of people are like, I can't get a job, I can't get attention. We live in the world of the internet. Like, you should already have a platform where you're showing everything that you're doing, all the skills that you have, a blog. You should be making TikToks, making Instagram videos of you working, and making sure that when people go to sleep at night, they remember your face. Does that make sense to you?
And definitely. And it's like, we run two different types of companies, and one thing that you'll see with like the different, like the way that we run companies is I know for when I'm looking for people to do business with all that stuff, just get to work. People are like, well, what certification? Well, let's just get to work. So then the other thing is that promotion piece that you're talking about, exactly what you're talking about, is like that self-promotion piece. A lot of developer types, like while they'll get to work then on like the Cody bits, then if you could get them to first like automate their social, then they can then just like not pay attention to the social and then just like do their Cody bits, and then the social kind of just runs for them. And so now I'm trying to encourage, like, if you're technical, you hate the social, you know you're going to fail at it anyways, start coding it, start automating it, start doing the things so that maybe you are that introvert. Maybe you're never going to make all those posts. Then engineer it. Engineer those posts. So, like, even like the DevSecOps dojo, if someone comes in, the first thing we're like, make a post a week. Make a post a week. You don't start that, the opportunity. Because then people are like, well, I'm not getting an opportunity. Is it me? That's what people start doing. It's like, no, you got to just put yourself out there. Well, then I guess to that extent, as long as you don't put yourself out there, that's the is it me portion. It is. You just got to put yourself out there. That's what you got to do. But you're right.
You got to put yourself out there. And a lot of people, the reason why they don't do this is because they're afraid of what people think. They care about what others think about them. And what I tell people is that you have no idea how high your potential becomes when you don't care what others think or say about you. Yeah. No idea. You have unlimited potential to do whatever you want at the point. I literally do not care what anybody thinks or says about me. I put myself out there. I know who I am. I have confidence in my abilities, confidence in my marketplace value in this industry. I know what I'm worth. Companies have paid me thousands and thousands and thousands, ridiculous amounts of money to teach people in this field because I'm a subject matter expert. And I know things in this field that other people don't know because they took the time to learn them. I know a lot of dangerous things in this field that people wouldn't dare even teach you, but I teach everybody. And the reason why is because if you don't know how to do dangerous stuff, then you can't protect from it. It's kind of like there's people that are like, oh, I defend companies from corporate espionage. And I'll be like, really? Do you know how to do corporate espionage? You don't? Well, then don't tell me how you know how to defend against it. It's kind of like if a bunch of people got together and said, we're going to create the world's best lock, but we don't know how to pick locks. And I'm like, are you serious? Is this a joke? You want me to trust you? Are you kidding? And that's another problem that I have is that in this industry we've created some kind of spooky medium where certain skills in cybersecurity are bad, and we do stupid stuff like we call social engineering when really social engineering is psychological manipulation. That's all it is. I like to be clear about things when I'm teaching my students. Social engineering is psychological manipulation. The industry just creates a spin on it to make it sound nice, just like they tried to get rid of the word hacker, or they put the word ethical in front of hacker. Ethics is a social construct. So, I mean, as far as looking at the cyber playing field or whatever, a lot of people look at it at the wrong way. When I look at the field of cyber warfare and all these hackers and other organizations hacking each other, I don't look at them as bad guy, good guy kind of thing, which is a lot of these people that make this field, the bad guys, the good guys. Nonsense. Cybersecurity is just a bunch of people trying to fulfill their self-interest and they're battling each other. That's all it is. Just like the world, it's a battlefield. Cybersecurity is a battlefield. It's just a bunch of players in the game trying to fulfill their self-interest. And when you understand and see things that way, you can get inside the mind of any adversary because you can identify what their self-interest is.
It is adversarial, yeah. Because I think one thing that sometimes people forget about, even when working in the cybersecurity industry, and you see it in social media too, where people like get followers and they kind of forget that there's a person behind the number. But the reality, even like with like threats and attackers and stuff, like 90% of breaches are like still hit from phishing attacks. There's someone on the other side, and if you're trying to figure out like cybersecurity and you're trying to figure out like root cause, you can sit there and respond all day to the breaches and the phishing clicks that you get, or you can start to try to understand like, okay, so the people who create these things like get to the root of the situation entirely and apply social engineering to your company's workflows, and that's where we get DevSecOps. DevSecOps has to do with coding around behaviors and expected behaviors and managing the behaviors through code, managing the policies through code. And like it's funny because I talk about like the DevSecOps dojo and people are like, hey, by the way, do you teach cybersecurity? Because they don't know what security even is. And then they're like, you're just a software engineer.
Let me note something important. No, that's a good point. I want to note something important that you said. On the subject of getting in the mind of your adversaries. When we classify cyber criminals as bad guys, It prevents people, or even classify them as criminals. It basically puts a psychological wall in front of you trying to figure out their motivations, because then it's like, oh, why they do it? Oh, because they're a criminal. Why they do it? Because they're a bad guy. So creating these labels for adversaries who are trying to attack you prevent you from figuring out why they're doing what they're doing. So I like to remove the term bad guy or criminal from the attacker, and think of them as a human being. They're just like you, and they have motivations. And I was discussing this with my cyber ops team that I'm training the other day. I said, so we're investigating a phishing scenario recently, and we're tracking this guy down. It turned out that it's insane. We may publish our findings later, but the guys that I'm working with and training, they're hardcore. Anyway, when I was discussing things with them, I said, forget labeling the guy a criminal or a bad guy. He's a person, and in order to remedy the situation and handle this phishing attack, we have to understand that person as an individual and why they could be doing this, the possibilities. Because why or they're doing this determines on how we handle the situation. So a lot of phishers are people in poor countries who are just sending out mass phishing emails, hoping to hit something that bites, to get some Bitcoin flow into their wallet. And researching this guy's Bitcoin wallet had nothing in it. Well, that may not mean anything. It could mean that it's a fresh Bitcoin wallet that he created, maybe. That's a possibility as well. So there's two possibilities, maybe more than two possibilities. But one of the possibilities is that this is an organized phishing attack with many people involved, and they're sending it out. Or this is the work of one individual trying to get some chump change. And why it matters, understanding what the reason is because how you respond to that situation could create a variety of different consequences that you have to prepare for. For example, if you were to attack the attacker back and scare the crap out of him or something, or try to figure out who he is, and you slipped up in some way, and he discovered that you were doing that, if he's some poor person in another country who's just trying to scrounge for bitcoins, there's not going to be really you may not have to fear an attack back against your organization, right? If you go and pursue trying to find out who the individual is and he discovers that you are, there may not be consequences for your organization because he doesn't know how to do really anything but that. But let's say the situation was that you go after this guy and you try to figure out who he is by a variety of means. I'm not going to talk about how that's done. Cyber ops know how that's done. There's a variety of tactics and things that you could use. I'm a manhunter myself that finds criminals on the run with bounty hunters and stuff, so I know how to do this stuff. But let's suppose that you're doing that to try to pursue criminal charges against the guy, and then he discovers that you are, and he's part of a wide organized network, and this guy has hard skills, and now you just pissed him off. And you got to get ready for a huge cyber attack. He may up the ante. He may be angry. He may come after you. And this is why I say stop labeling the attackers like bad guys or criminals, because it prevents you from understanding the true motivation behind their attacks. Does that make sense to you?
It's a thing, yeah, because really it always goes back to being a psychological situation. And
yes.
You even see it at companies. So like if we just take like a direct example that others watching might be able to kind of connect with a little more, because for the most part, like a lot of my audience, we work jobs, you do things like that. You have a job and people end up getting fired for different reasons and stuff like that. But every now and then you have those situations where someone kind of seems like maybe they went rogue. But then there's that other question of why did they go rogue? Because sometimes you get these situations, and right now we see it at a greater scale than ever, because we see more attacks than we've ever seen in the world, and we also see this great resignation. And then people talk about this idea of advanced persistent threat. What is not advanced, insider threat? What is an insider threat? An insider threat is someone that people decide that they either don't want in their company, feel like maybe
Yeah.
that person's threatening in their company somehow, but really it's a
Yep.
feeling. So if someone's an
Yep.
insider threat, that starts from an emotional decision, generally.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
Generally.
It could either be that, or it could be a guy who surfs on the line of
Maybe overworked and burnt out.
yeah, he could be overworked and burnt out. There and in it, and a lot of people, when I ask them, why would an insider threat do that, or why would they be like, because he's a criminal? And I'd be like, no, like there's way more to it than that. Like, how high is your IQ, seriously, to give an answer like that? Like, if you want to examine why people do things in this world, you can't just slap them with a label and be like, that's why. You have to understand. And like you said, the guy could be overworked, he could be pissed off. He could have targeted this organization from the very beginning, or he could have been doing this his entire career, going into companies, pretending to be normal Joe Schmo, taking the data, leaving, a couple years down the road, sells it to the highest bidder. Nobody ever knows, right? And he does this for his whole life, and he never gets caught. There are different people who do these things, and that's
Always
why
different.
it's always different. And people in cybersecurity, like I said, we have a mindset to where we could imagine scenarios of doing these things, or how they're done, which allows us to defend organizations from them.
Yeah.
And it's difficult, or if not impossible, for HR to identify people with those abilities. And usually, I'm going to be honest with you, people who have my abilities or your abilities to think that way, they could be very intimidating to some people. And that's another problem in this industry, is that people who are as intelligent as you or I, that have the ability to kind of get inside the mind of people and imagine themselves doing things to stop things, it scares some people.
It's just like what we got in the chat. There's always a story, but if you don't want that story, you're not going to know.
No, you're not going to know,
like, how it happened, or how to stop it.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop things. Stop bad people. Stopping bad people requires knowing what you're trying to stop. It really is a thing. Like, we could get into, like, if I think about, like, even like managing developers, if you don't really know what developers need, you can't manage developers. Or if you want to do anything, like, you want to get customers, if you don't know what the customers need, you're not going to get customers. So if you're trying to stop, like, attacks, if you don't know what the attackers are trying to accomplish, or what they're trying to get out of the situation, it is the exact same thing. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, that says it pretty much. I guess with all of this stuff going on, we are going to be re-releasing the opportunity for people to learn a lot of the foundations that Zach was able to learn from. And so I teach from first principles, and now Zach, since he's just gone hardcore, he pretty much only works with other people who are hardcore. But I do teach the same general things, and Pid Hacker's getting a rebuild and re-release. So for those who are trying to figure out, like, what did he learn to kind of get it, I don't teach you step-by-step things at all. I teach principles. First principles. First principles are like, Google first principles. It's like the basics of the basics, and it sounds like it should be like a really simple thing. But the first principles and learning how to apply them, that's what Pid Hacker Experience is all about, on how to apply first principles using cybersecurity as a use case, using cloud, generally DevSecOps tools. And because I am generally specialized in DevSecOps, it's delivered in a DevSecOps flow type format. So you technically also learn DevSecOps in the process. Like, DevSecOps methodology is what it's based on, but it walks you through all of that, and by the time you're done with it, you have some familiarity with DevSecOps, you have some familiarity with how to apply first principles with DevSecOps, and you know some security for why security is a use case. Security first. If you don't know security and you're trying to build these apps and you're trying to do all this stuff, if you at least know security, start there.
Man, I mean, to talk about the P Hacker Experience, Pi Hacker, whatever, Pi, I don't care. I mispronounce things all the time because I'm from New York. That's why I got that New York hustle, making all that money. You know what I mean?
Get it.
I say things like coffee and dog. I say a lot of stuff wrong, but whatever. It don't matter. The Pi Hacker Experience was something that I'll never forget because it's exactly what people need in cybersecurity. It pushes you to the brink. It's kind of like, how could I say, imagine if you threw me down a pit and you came back and you opened up the hatch every now and then and you gave me some water, and then you yelled at me and put some lotion on his skin or else gets the hose again, and then you shut it again and I'm like, what's going on? And you're like, here's some tools, here's some computer stuff, and I'm like, wait, hold on, come back, and then you're like, nope, you're on your own, and the only thing you left me was a bunch of white papers, and you use them to survive, and it basically simulates what it's like being in a real security job, because often what people don't realize is that the job description is completely inaccurate, and more often than not, when you're a security professional, you're thrown into an environment where you're confronted with a bunch of tools that you've never seen or heard of, and you have to have the ability as an individual to think critically and learn that stuff overnight to keep your job. So Pi Hacker keeps you on your toes. It teaches you the methodologies and principles necessary for you to be able to jump into an organization and have a strategy to take off. It gives you basically a cyber battle plan so that you could excel. And from there, you'll have a lab ready and all the other stuff for you to tinker with. And if you destroy, the unit, you lost like what, $30-some, big deal. So it makes a lot more sense to do things that way than what a lot of people do, which is spend thousands of dollars on server equipment. By the way, people, you don't need to spend thousands of dollars on server equipment. You don't need to go to college. You don't need a million certifications to learn cybersecurity. All you need is the will and the discipline to sit down and build yourself a lab and learn it. That's what you need. And then you have to prove to people that you're capable of it. And that's what Pi Hacker does. So you could save yourself thousands and thousands of dollars and just literally smash into the industry.
It really does treat it like a job. You're going to be in your dark corner, and you get your wife. It's exactly what you said. You get your wife.
That's exactly what I did. I
good luck. But you make thousands of dollars on it now, hundreds of thousands of dollars on it now. But you host people in what you built though. Now Pid Hacker doesn't. It has 3 modes. It has a casual mode. If you take casual mode, you're not inventing things and hosting people and starting companies. But if you were to go all the way and decide, I'm going to invent something. What are you going to invent? Well, if you invent something, well, how do you take something that you invent and then start to apply it and do something with your life with it? Well, that's a complicated thing. So that's what you've taken all the way. So now you can pretty much run a whole company with it.
Oh, so, yeah. I mean, just to talk about, I have an amazing life that I've built with this career. I'm a person that from the very beginning planned on modeling his lifestyle around self-sustainability. Everything I do is do it yourself. Right now, I'm sitting in a literally a solar-powered 5G capable van that looks like a log cabin inside that I built myself, and it has about 600. Well, I'm looking at the batteries right now. About 600 watts of lithium battery power and a 2,000 watt inverter, and a bunch of solar panels on top, running cloud servers inside and everything else. And
off a satellite.
Yeah, and I'm talking to you right now through 5G. I have a hotspot pack inside the van with an antenna on top, and I could travel and work from wherever I want. I have a full security operations center in here. And when I want to take a break from traveling, I go back to one of my homes that I'm flipping. I'm flipping a few homes in the Appalachian Mountains.
You build them too.
Yes, I do. I'm actually going to be. Yes, I do. The next one that I'm selling, I'm going to be selling for about $400,000, and I just bought another one nearby. And I bought it for like $40K in cash, so that's a massive gain. The housing market is huge. Yeah, well,
that's all,
no one's gonna teach you how to hustle, but like Ken said, when I was in cyber life, one of the most important things you can learn is financial self-sufficiency. And cybersecurity, there is big money. There is definitely big money involved in cybersecurity, and I'm not gonna be one of those people that say you shouldn't do it if you're motivated by money. I'm motivated by money. I want money. I love money, and there's nothing wrong with that. If money motivates you, get that money, get that bag, get that paper,
find what motivates
make that
you.
coin, get your coin up. I love money. And another thing is, like, a lot of people in this field, this is I have to say this. I have to make note of this, because people in this field say this to me all the time, and it's the stupidest thing. It's the stupidest thing. People will go in my DMs and they'll say, I'm not really about the money. I'm about helping people. Are you serious? A billionaire could change the world in a heartbeat. Don't you realize money gets you freedom? Money gets you power to change things. Money gets you the power to change life. Money gets you more tools to build whatever you want. If you're not about the money, then you're about nothing. Because
Hire
you need
people,
money to get
house people, yeah.
Yeah, everything. You want to help people, you need money.
Donate.
You want to build things, you need money. And people that say money don't buy happiness. BS. If your child has cancer and you can't afford the medication, how happy are you going to be when he dies? Like, right? Come on, man. This is just stupid. How can I say? What's the word for it? That it's like self-righteous logic, where people are trying to appear to be in the way that others think that they should be. And I don't do that. I do my own thing. I be how I want to be, and I'm killing the game. Most than other people. I'm at a higher level in my field most than other people. I'm crushing the business world more than most people. I'm buying and selling real estate. I have more skills than everybody can imagine. Plumbing, welding, carpentry, mechanics, you name it. I can do anything. It doesn't matter what it is. And the reason why is because of my attitude. And what?
And you share. It's good stuff.
Yes, I do. I share the opportunity. That's why.
Just because you make money doesn't mean that you don't, like, I think that some people think that if you're making money, that doesn't mean that you can't help anyone with it, that you just make it and you have to hoard it, and you have to not invest in anyone, and you have to not share it, and you have to not help people pay their bills. You can't help people pay them bills. You can't do it. You're making too much money.
It costs money to make money. If you're making money and you don't spread opportunity, you won't make any more money. You'll hit a wall. It's impossible to reach a certain point of wealth without sharing it and creating opportunities for other people. You quite literally have to do that to grow.
I'm
but
always
finding talented,
share what you make.
finding talented people is difficult. What'd you say? Share what I made in some of the jobs?
Well, just because you're always sharing what you make, and then you also share the knowledge too. You're like, hey, I just learned some stuff.
Yeah.
This is how it works. You can do it this way. This is how I did it.
I have videos of me piling stacks of money on a table, and the thing, and there was some people like, oh, that's a really good motivational video. You're putting piles of you're stacking up stacks of money, and I go, really? Well. That should let you know that I know what I'm talking about, because if I'm making money, I'm getting it from somewhere, right? And the strange thing about a lot of these cyber gurus who BS you people, okay, is that I don't see them making any money. They say that they give you all this advice on how to break into cybersecurity, how to do this, how to do that, but where's the money? Where's their wealth in the things that they're building? I don't see any proof of that their methods work. But I'm pretty sure me throwing stacks on a table is proof that my stuff works. Because if it didn't, people wouldn't pay me that money, right? And NATO, who I'm talking to here, was one of my biggest cyber mentors. So you can guarantee that he's not BSing you. He's telling you the truth. Me, I'm a little bit more honest and in your face. I'm not going to BS you. I'm not going to sugarcoat stuff. I'm not going to put some kind of corporate flavoring on things. When I say that I'm coaching people in cybersecurity and I'm helping them, I really am helping them. And I'm helping them because I'm not telling them lies. I'm not misleading them. I'm leading them down a path of financial freedom and self-sufficiency, and to where they have skills so hard that it makes people crap themselves. And then it makes them pay them mad money. I want people to be wealthy. I want them to live prosperous lives. I want them to excel. I want them to push themselves to their limits. I want them to reach their highest potential. And I am obsessed with reaching my highest potential. Obsessed. Absolutely obsessed. And you're either with me or you're against me. That's it. That's all it is. So if you want to win, people, get on board, because this guy is going to win. He's already winning, and he's going to make you win too.
And as we're firing people up, what are the I guess if there's one most important thing for someone who went to like straight to the industry, like the most important thing that we can just tell them, what's that most important thing that someone could walk away from what you teach, from what you know, from what you like to deliver, that they could take away from all this, because it's time, folks, to get to work, do real work. You know, you could talk about things and go get some certifications and stuff. That's fine, but you can also just get to work. So what's your best advice to end with?
I'll quote my father, who was a very great man. He was a veteran and a paratrooper that jumped out of planes. Absolutely batshit crazy guy. I was raised by combat veterans in my family, which is why I have this attitude. And I remember one day, after a little league event that my father took me to, you know, I was playing baseball and stuff. He looked at me and he said, "Son, there are two different types of people: those who do and those who don't, and that's it. What type of person you're going to be is up to you, and that's going to determine how far you're going to make it in life." And I took what he said very seriously, and that's why I'm here, because I'm a person that does. I don't BS. I don't sit around. I don't waste time. I just do it, and that's what people need to do. They just need to do it, man. I mean, I'm tired as hell right now, but I'm laughing because
gotta get it.
I know you are too. I know.
I'm like,
oh, man,
after I get off this right back to coding.
Yeah.
You know.
Whatever.
Code life.
Whatever, man. Anyway, Cyber Defense Services. I'm CEO of Cyber Defense Services. You can go to my website. You can find me there. You can read about me. I have so many skills. I don't even know how I did all this. You know, sometimes I surprise myself. It's like when you were mentioning what I did, I'm like, I did all that? Holy crap, I forgot, because I'm so obsessed with what I'm building and doing now, right? And like I said, I'm building that off-grid giant data center is my next project.
Building your own solar-powered cyber van. It's crazy.
Well, the solar-powered cyber van with the cloud servers inside and the security operations center was just the beginning. That's going to be revealed to the world soon, by the way. I got videos of that and everything that we're working on. I have a team of marketers and filmmakers and everything that I'm working with to reveal that to the world, so you guys can finally see that. But the next step is a giant off-grid data center on an off-grid compound that I'm building out west. And it's going to be amazing.
Definition of doing it.
I challenge one person to find another dude in this field that's doing what I'm doing. There's nobody that created this mobile security operations center in the entire world. I'm the only one. There's nobody else. Yeah, it's true.
And it works. And you're streaming from it, and it's stable.
Yeah.
You've been here. It's doing video.
Yeah.
So, and you
I'm
did
in the mountains right now.
And you're still doing it.
I'm literally in the mountains. I'm going to wake up in the morning to a sunrise over the Blue Ridge Mountains.
You gotta. So for those listening, you gotta keep it in your head. Just start doing some stuff. Just start building something. As soon as you get off the stream, after we leave you, just start doing stuff. Just start making some stuff.
Yeah.
Don't even Google some. Just start making some stuff.
Just get to it.
It's
get
time.
to it. Stop being lazy.
That's right.
Stop
so with
lazy.
that,
all right,
we're gonna wrap up the stream, and I appreciate you being on with us.